That I can override their...
Okay, everybody. I got help from my wife because I started at 7:03 last week, 7:04 already, and Michelle's going to give me the dickens. So I called the meeting to order at 7:04. Nobody is on the telephone, apparently. Thank you all for coming. And we're missing Anna Ryder. Did Anna appoint somebody to sit in her place?
What she did then.
Did you?
Okay. I think so.
I'll make a motion for
Diane?
Diane for
Okay.
Anna. Yeah.
Second.
Motion
by Dave, second by Kim. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Any abstentions? Diane Linderman has the awesome responsibility of the vote.
Keep trying.
So the next thing is debt service, and I don't have documents on that. Anita, have you given us documents on that?
Yes.
Is it right in front of us?
DJ, it's just in the book.
In the book?
No, it's right here, DJ. It's right here. It's Yep, that's the number here. We need a motion for...
So it's, and is this the debt service? I'm sorry. Okay, so the next fiscal year is 433,180? 431,182. Oh, 431,182, right. 415 for principal and 16 for interest. So we have the choice, do we want to pay that or default? Do I hear a motion?
I'll move for 431,182. I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Any abstentions? Motion passes. Great. And revenues. So Anita has given us this revenue report for a number of years, including on the right-hand side with the 24-25 budget. I'm not sure, what do we do with revenues? I would like to move that they be higher, but right? But I'm not sure that that's going to have much effect. So let's take a look at them and see if our reality test says they make sense.
It did strike me that some of the estimates for the property tax run on both sides compared to what we see historically.
Well, that's interesting because the property tax is an unknown at this moment.
It's an unknown. I was looking at that it balanced out to the expenditures.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, our property tax has to equal what we need to collect minus an allowance for bad debt. So this is just a plus.
This is just a plus because it's stated like in the past, we don't vote on revenue, we just look at it. There's no vote yet.
And the only thing that we've really discussed historically is the returns for the balances that we have, which I think right now seem pretty reasonable to me in terms of what's being projected.
Let me ask, I'm down here to beach stickers, Anita. What the hell went on in 2024 when we had a diminution of from 50,000 or 35,000 down to 18,000? Do you know why the beach stickers were so low? Or is that a 50-50 thing?
People buy their beach
So it's
stickers
a spring, it's a spring thing?
Yeah.
Buy in May,
Okay.
for the most part.
I have a question about zoning.
In the past, zoning was always calculated in building. When I came here, they came to me and asked me if I could please separate their numbers out instead of carrying them all together in one, because they come in with like the credit card, they go pay online, so they were previously posting all buildings. So right now, it's an estimate of what we have started to decide right.
Okay.
Estimating the numbers back.
My next discrepancy is at the very bottom, ambulance fuel reimbursement. Why did you lower that to 1,000?
Because they put it in their budget. In their budget, they added fuel, and they said instead of reimbursement, they'd rather use this money that you allocate to them.
All right, so we appropriate some money and they use that money to pay for the fuel.
So, DJ, to go back to your beach sticker question, it seems like our actuals are closer to $50,000 in income, and it's lowered to 40. Is there a rationale for lowering it to 40?
Well, if you go back though,
I figured we might double that.
Well, it'll be more than double with
Yeah.
May, June income
Yeah.
this year, so
So I agree with that.
I think,
We did do a slight change for pricing. Last year, it was $30 for one and $75 for two. And it was to try to get people not to buy two for a household. Basically, after the first 15 people paid $75, the other people got smart. The wife came in and got one for her car. And then they went back to 30. So we sold almost 1,600 beach passes for about 220 spots total. So it's fine. I mean, it's a very...
one way or another, we're probably going to get 50,000 in income as we have in past years.
yeah, so let's assume 50,000.
And that ends up lowering what we need up top
Yeah.
from taxpayers,
Yeah.
Right.
if we add revenue down here, as long as it's realistic.
I don't think they're even available for purchase yet.
No, the
No, in May, but those
No,
first
but
warm
that's-
weekends
But
in
that's when it's
May.
going to happen, is
Half the
everyone's
town
going to
comes
make...
Yeah.
Push to
Yep.
May because you can't buy them.
Actually, we've already had 3 people sending in their checks already.
Yeah,
Yeah,
reserving them.
they're ready.
So,
They want-
Anita, I don't understand unliquidated encumbrances. Explain that to us.
What it is all the stuff you put in carryover, and all the stuff you carry in carryover. When you recognize, when you say, we don't have it anymore.
Yep,
Because you've already expensed it on your report, you have to put it back as an income against, to show it as a revenue, and then they may forget for
Okay.
they adjust it.
got it. So, on paper, it looks like we have a whole bunch of money, but in reality, we already have that money. So putting $10,000 a year is just sort of a plus to hold it.
And same page, landfill transfer station, we're already at 134. Last year was 155, we got 150. I mean, it's close, and I know you never know, it's based on probably storms and whatever causes people to bring stuff to the transfer station that they have to pay for. But is that based on the 134 year to date, is that
So I saw 147, 153, 155, so I was,
yep, maybe that's a safe number, and if we go over, we go over, that's good. It's
Exactly.
revenue. So, okay.
Looks like we're gonna go over this year too.
Yeah, we
Spring
already
cleaning
have.
and stuff.
We've already gone 4,000 over, but
I did that.
it's revenue, I'd leave it, more is better when it's revenue.
So let's talk for a minute about interest. You say based on a 3% rate, currently 5%? So-
And I was afraid that next year.
Right.
Down to 3.
Right. So, David Kelsey will will be our prognosticator.
Not on record.
Can you predict for next year's budget?
So are T-bills gonna come down from 5 to 3 next
They're
year?
supposed to, but,
They're supposed to?
yeah.
So 3% is more realistic?
Yeah, it could probably be 4%, but the difference, I mean, it does make a material difference. If you're at 4% versus 3%, it's,
Sure.
you know, gonna be 75 grand or whatever it is. So,
You wanna change it?
what's that?
I'll change it.
I don't think it's bad to be conservative just because we don't know. We are now much more active in terms of the management of the investments. So my personal view is that's fine as you laid out here. But we could be a tiny bit more aggressive, but I don't know that does any benefit.
You know, it's better to be conservative with the budget.
Yeah.
But the 400,000 as investment interest certainly beats what we were doing in some prior years.
Right.
Yeah.
What does LOCIP stand for?
LoCIP.
LOCIP.
It's a grant.
It's a grant, state.
Instead of,
Yeah, they just increased us. We were originally at budget for 49. They sent me a paper and they increased. I haven't gotten the final on the other ones, so I have the tentative, but not a final on a couple more numbers.
Is LOCIP a grant?
Before you get to LoCIP, we have the education equalization grant that's gone up significantly to 934. That's a number that's been confirmed by the state.
That is not right now the tentative number. Then they'll send me a letter to confirm that what they actually passed. Right now, it hasn't passed yet.
But that's the proposed number?
That's the proposed number, and it should be in the back of your books. I put the whole state printout.
Okay.
I have 3 different numbers for that.
We have to sign off on the LoCIP too. We have to send back the paperwork.
And we just,
Oh, nice. How many? Okay.
no.
Okay.
That would be nice.
Anita, what's the revenue stream from that line item?
That one now, she gave it to me. It's the,
It says per assessor determined by the state. I just don't know what it is.
this is municipalities, it's like an FTC, AT&T, Verizon, and CenturyLink. They pay you in lieu of taxes, and we're scheduled for a total between all of them, $38,912.86.
So basically, it's a state government thingy that nobody needs to understand.
it's probably on our phone bills. There's little 2 cents a month, 3 cents a month
The other
that we're all
taxes
paying.
that they pay.
Okay.
Some of it comes back to the town.
For when the lines fall down.
So you've left the line for transfers from surplus as is appropriate vacant for the moment because we haven't made that decision.
Correct.
Okay, so I don't have any more questions. Does anybody else have questions on the revenue sheet? I don't know that we need, or it's appropriate to have a motion. Have we had?
I don't think that we have.
No, it's just a review.
Yeah, just information, right. Good. Okay, the next item is old business, general government, town clerk. Do we have the town clerk answer to the questions?
I have the answers to questions, yeah. So it's really, we need to make some decisions. And I really want to bring more brain power to make the decision. You were given something here from Tom, but I have that in front of me, but this is...
And then the one behind it is from, Vicki.
Yeah, I know, but I have it all. All right, so Vicki went through, this is the COT program that she uses, the software program that she uses in the town post office. And basically, we have been under a 5-year lease with them, and they provide her with a desktop monitors and some basic other equipment. And if you look at the paperwork from COT, you'll see, Vicki's got some numbers on here, the third page. So basically, she's redone this, because now this year is a 3-year. They're only offering a 3-year lease, and we would pay $5,220 a month for the use of the equipment.
That's $435 a month.
Sorry, $5,220 for the year.
Right.
Okay, sorry. So $15,000 over the course of 3 years. We can buy the equipment based on, for about $10,000, based on this quote from CT Comp. And that's not doing any of our own homework to see if we can get it less. So I asked Vicki, the only positive that we can see, the pro for leasing, is that if something breaks, they bring it by. They will, she said they've had 2 hard drives go. Tom said those cost about $120 a piece. And they sent them, COT sent them, Tom replaced them. That's been the last 2 years. But now they're just going to a 3-year lease. So if they did, they would come in and change some of her equipment out, leave things. She would not get a new laser printer. She'd get 2 new monitors, 2 new desktops. And Tom is thinking this might be a good time to switch them to laptops instead of desktop mode, so that they can pivot if they have to. And we thought that might be a good idea. So we provided some of the quotes, like I said, kind of like where we'd want to come in. Less than that.
So what's the specific ask for the Board of
I guess the
Finance?
ask is, our questioning was, what do we get for this lease that we had? And we went back to say, well, we get the equipment, we get some additional things that she has to pick up as far as binders, and she figured all that out. I don't know if you have this paper. Let me do it. Give you some stress. Vicki went through and just figured out basically what she had, and I don't think you have this, but
So, just one thing, just with CT Comp, on top of buying the hardware, each of these items would be billed $25 a month.
I think they are now.
We already are being billed for the ones we're leasing.
Because they're maintaining them. And
Okay.
when something goes down, that's the other thing. If we had our own equipment, we wouldn't have to be calling. Right now, there's like a 3-day phone call that happens if something goes wrong. It's COT, and it's CT Comp, and it's Tom, all trying to figure out how to get everything to work together. With our own equipment, they said that they won't have this difficulty.
Well, you'd still probably have to talk to COT.
Yeah.
Because they're going to, CT Comp's going to point the finger at the software, and the software is going to point the finger at the hardware, which they're doing anyway. I didn't realize CT Comp was already maintaining them.
Well, it's how to get everything to talk through our servers to everything else.
But my understanding is that the CT Comp relationship is currently under review by you, right?
As soon as this budget,
Yeah.
these meetings start, we will
And so my
become more
question
aggressive.
is, are we asked to enter into a contract with CT Comp? And if so, what are the termination provisions of that contract? You may or may not know the
If
answer.
you're talking about COT, right now we were talking about COT, not CT Comp.
Talking about who?
COT, this company.
Oh, okay, that's
I'm
not
not
CT.
doing the CT Comp
Okay.
connection right now.
So if we look at the
Yeah,
budget,
the first
Martha?
page says
It's basically-
CT Comp, but
Right.
then
It's
Yeah.
basically, do you want to take on additional equipment? And as Tom Meyer also pointed out today, you can then depreciate the fact that we bought this equipment and you can depreciate it off. But it's really and truly, do you want to save $5,000? Because that's pretty much what it is. It's a savings of $5,000. So
Over
that's-
3 years,
Over 3 years.
right?
So in the budget that we've got before us, there's town clerk contracted services of $24,800, and then there's computer equipment of $9,500 that's contemplated. So how does that change? If we're gonna, yeah, here.
You want to
Well, the question related to it felt like we were paying twice for services. We were going to buy equipment, we're going to spend $10,000 on new computers and do the current lease.
Right.
So the question was, can we just like lease the software and buy computers? That was kind of the crux of
Yes,
the
so you can
discussion.
do the software alone, as it's stated on the paperwork that you were provided on second page of that CT Comp handout.
Yep.
You can
the
do,
last page, it's about 20,000 a year.
I'm just thinking about what we need to approve tonight.
basically, that was what you were questioning. I think that was, I'm not sure, were you here that night? That we just found her?
2 weeks ago, I was not. but-
What it would be is basically, are you gonna keep the computer and deduct the 4,800 from contracted services, or are you gonna keep the contracted services and get rid of the computer?
So there are two separate items. One is capital. If we're buying computers, that's typically in capital, right? And so I'm just trying to figure out if we want a motion to approve something, and the selectmen have decided that this is the right thing to do, what should we be doing in terms of a motion? That's all.
Well, I think we'd have to recalculate the calculations for chief contracted services. We'd also have to calculate the computer equipment that's listed on.
That's why.
And we were told to go back and say, what were the options if we bought some equipment?
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
We didn't make a recommendation because these numbers all came in this morning and they had changed because it went from 5 years now to 3.
Fine.
So everything switched off this morning.
Yeah.
And Jude is away and Jim was at work, so I didn't really run it by them.
Is there anything in capital that we should be considering, or is it just in the operating budget that we're
We would
going to
have,
think about?
you can put it on her line where it says computer equipment, or you can put it on capital because it will be $10,000.
So, so the bottom line doesn't change necessarily, which is fine, but is there any action item for tonight?
So we still haven't
We
approved.
haven't approved the town budget at all.
Yeah.
Because of this,
Because
didn't
it's
approve
fine.
Brooks' budget.
Right.
Okay,
So if our feeling was that purchasing the equipment and continuing to lease the software, then we would make a minor change to the budget to lower the contracted services to $20,000.
Right.
From 24.8 to 20.
And then,
To 20. And then the computers would go in under capital.
right.
So it would just be adjusting by $4,800.
So either way, the line, new computer equipment is moving. I have a note that I wrote here that this is going to be capital, wasn't there another?
9,500.
Yeah,
Yep.
okay.
But it wasn't, it actually didn't, you're right, but it didn't fall into the budgeted.
Into the yellow,
was
it didn't go
not-
on.
It was not included in the 161. So basically, the 161, 149 is going to be reduced by $4,800.
Right.
And $10,000 is going to get added
to capital,
to capital
right.
So let's,
this year.
right, so let's take it one motion at a time.
So are you gonna do it, you wanna do it net without the salaries, because salaries are set?
Okay.
Like we've been doing, if
Yeah, we approved the salaries the other day. Yep. So what is it minus the 4,800 and minus the salaries?
She just gave
27,235.
Again?
I have 27,235.
27,235.
without salary.
27,275?
Yeah.
235.
235, 27,235, as I understand it now, is the operating budget without the salaries and without the computers going to capital.
Yep.
So are there any questions about that 27,235? Then can I have a
I'll
motion?
make a motion for that.
I'll second.
Andy, Kim, is there any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Any abstentions? So the 27,235 is approved. So now let's go to capital.
We need to curse ourselves in the capital again. You weren't here last week.
You're lucky. Nice. So do we have town clerk in capital?
Yeah, it's under expenditures, town clerk, equipment grants, is that it?
Town hall.
And Vicki,
Town clerk, equipment grants,
today,
and there's nothing on the line.
she asked if we would just, cushion it just a little, just in case something came in, she didn't want to be stuck if she had to start searching for something, so we could cushion
Yeah,
the
for
capital.
Capital.
So does it go under town clerk, or does it go under like IT computers?
Actually, I wasn't here last
We
week.
have it under
IT computers.
Okay. Computers, a separate one. It'll be a what?
Just a transfer fund.
Yes, it's gonna do a transfer to the IT line, I think it's from, how this one,
I'm sorry, I didn't.
So can somebody point us to which page in capital we're going to be modifying
It's on your sheet for tonight.
for tonight?
It's actually not going to be capital.
Okay.
Anita's recommending.
Into the IT capital fund?
Well, out of it.
It's on page 3.
IT capital fund,
That's It's also here.
So in that gray section,
some of the new one that I just gave you.
Yeah, you gave it to us last week. So which line item would you change?
I was just thinking,
we'd make a new line item.
I'd make a new line item.
Because it'll be
Okey-doke.
for the town clerk's project.
Okay. So last week we approved transfers in and out of the fund of 68.6. And now we want to increase that number by 10, is it?
Just pushing it a little, because it's supposed to be, Tom has 10,302, so maybe 11 or 12.
Yeah.
But
That's
hopefully
fine.
we're going to put this out to bid, perhaps to somebody besides CT Comp. Are we going to be able to wait till July to get this?
We're going-
Obviously, our
yeah.
current contract runs through July or further.
She's trying to find a date because she couldn't find her signed contract, but we'll pay them by month if we have to get her till July 1st, or we'll
So
find some money somewhere.
shall we add 12,000 to the town clerk?
I would just, to be safe, that we are, or 11 should be fine.
That is a transfer, just to be clear about the motion. That's a funds transfer.
Right.
So that will go up to
Well,
79.
You say it's a funds transfer, but I don't think we have enough in the fund today just to deplete the fund. So we have to transfer into the fund and then out of the fund.
That's right. That's right, but it is a different section of the budget
Correct.
that's going to get approved. Yeah.
Correct.
So, we're going to, the motion will be $12,000.
11.
Or
Gee,
11.
got us down to 11.
Okay.
Good haggling.
He's going to make me go shopping.
11,000, a fund transfer into the IT fund. Is that right?
25.
IT 25.
and then out of the IT fund for the town clerk.
That will come, it's just available, we don't have to approve that, right? We're just
You're
approving
You're approving it now.
the 11,000 to go in there, and then it can be drawn upon as needed.
Right.
And hopefully it's 9 or whatever.
So a second?
I'll make that motion, yep.
I'll second it.
Andy seconds. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Any abstentions? Okay, motion passes 11,000 for the IT fund. Okay, so then we go to salaries. We approved salaries last week, right?
No, we never
We
got.
didn't approve salaries last week? Okay, we deferred them? So, do we have salary information this week, or is this?
Here.
We do. We have a salary sheet this week by departments. So I would like to just pause for a minute and have everybody look down this sheet. Let's not do it one at a time. Look down the sheet and find any questions that you may have.
So Anita, big picture, outside the window, it looks like there's a total change number of 147,219, is that right?
Correct.
At the bottom. And then it says previously approved, it says difference, and then it says to be approved. What do all those figures mean?
I think because you did approve some of, like, the ambulance.
Oh, yes, you approved in certain funds, you approved, like,
Park and Rec.
Parks and Rec. You
Oh,
approved
right.
the
Seasonal help.
other
Rogers
helpers.
Right.
In the police department, you approved their wages because, you know,
Contract.
contract.
Yeah,
You approved the wages, you approved certain wages for clerks. and-
Public Works and,
Right,
yeah.
there were certain things you already approved, so that was that column that you already approved.
And so overall, wages from last year to this year, with all the hours that people want to add, et cetera, what's being suggested? Is it including contractual, the 421, 345, or is it a total of 421, 345 plus 147-ish?
The total of the payroll that's gonna be the new total.
This is the total.
Where's the old one?
Right.
That was the old one, and that does not include like the Sigma retro.
Right.
So this is,
From last year.
From last year.
the difference between this and this is here, and these are your difference of your changes. So basically, that's only here.
Mm-hmm.
That is all because of hours.
Yep.
So that's the breakdown.
So the increase year over year is the 147,219.
That's gonna be the increase over last year.
Over last year.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
That makes
And
sense.
the percent increase is actually 4.4%.
Yeah, that's the way it comes out. I know, it was weird when I did.
They can't make it into a
that way.
percentage?
Yeah.
Silly, oh my God, yeah, okay.
So one other question on the back page. You have the column that says difference with 147,225,
Yes.
and then in this column, you have a difference of 147,219. Not that we're, Now that-
I'll make up the difference.
Okay.
$6.
I'm just looking at that number now.
rounding,
It's rounding, okay.
It must be rounding.
So as long as the total is the 3,529,259.
Where do you see the 3,000,005? Oh, up here?
Right up there. I mean, that's the.
That's the number that we want to include.
Including what we've already approved.
Correct.
It's not additional, it's
No.
including the 421,
Right.
345.
That was my question. Is it 600 grand or is it the 147? And it's the 147. And the
147.
increase is 4.4% that Diane
Correct.
said.
Yeah, right, yeah,
Yeah.
because it had an extra zero over there.
Yeah, yep,
Yeah,
yep.
that was a percentage.
Sorry.
But I recommend, even though we've already approved the 421, tonight we should approve the 3.5.
Right.
But going back, does anybody have any questions about the specific department increases?
Well, fire marshal and EMS is always a conversation.
Marshall went down.
Yeah.
Because the assistant was removed.
Yeah,
Half the assistant was.
we took away the assistant.
Remind us, the land use went up by 17,000 on 191, which is material, and remind us why that is. Is it an additional person or an additional, I'm sorry?
Hours,
Now
yeah.
going to 35 hours
Okay.
salary instead of
Yep.
Did the-
per land area.
Did the fire marshal say he was interviewing for that assistant position? So that it was vacant, but it was gonna come back?
There are some stipulations that have to happen before we can have an assistant in that office.
Okay.
So we're working on it.
And another line item that I've forgotten, the town hall starts at 50 and goes up by 22.8. What was it, 22.8?
It's Eric Olson going from part-time to full-time.
Mm-hmm.
And then the assessors, Melinda would go from 30 to 35 hours. And then same thing in the senior center, Caitlin will go to 35 hours, the assistant, correct?
Okay. And when somebody goes to 35 hours, then they're eligible?
That's the nice thing about it, we have benefits at the 30 hours, so we're really just, our additional expense is for that extra that hourly 5 hours.
Just the hours, okay.
As opposed to moving somebody from 25 hours where they don't have benefits to 30, where
Yep.
they also get that benefit.
Yep.
And on an order of magnitude, the percentage of step increase plus inflation increase was about what, 2 or 3%?
Step increase plus 2.5 would have been 5%, but we didn't do that.
But what did we do?
We did it pretty much, there were a couple of cases which we moved steps because certain positions that had been underpaid for years, we fixed those, but not everybody went.
But when I'm thinking of this aggregate 4.4% increase, a good part of it is for increased labor.
Right.
It's
And
increased.
a smaller part of it is just for salary increase.
Right.
So Vijay, do you want a motion for the total of let me ask Anita and Martha. The total is 3.529259?
Yes.
I have a 254.
We have 259 on our sheet.
I see that there too.
David
We have-
David will pay the $4.
There's a lot of numbers.
So is that the motion that
Yeah.
we should be making?
For the total.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'll move the 3,529,259 for salaries in toto.
I'll second.
Matt seconds. Is there any discussion?
I have one question I want
Yeah.
to try to ask. Before that was the whole issue of the retro wages, and that doesn't play into this budget at all?
Repeat your question, please.
Retro wages. So there's information on here about with or without retro wages. wages, and that was totally confusing to me. I couldn't figure out where the numbers came from. But that does that not affect?
Well, that's
I'm
an
sorry.
interesting question, so.
It was talking to me, I didn't
And
hear.
Anita can answer it, but I assume the retro wages refer to the fact that as of July 1st of 2023,
January.
no,
We didn't go back.
January 1, 2000, and we didn't go back to increase anybody?
Back to January.
Okay, so we increased certain step wages as of January 1 of 2024, which is this fiscal year.
Correct.
Whereas this budget is for the next fiscal year, so presumably the retro wages are for the increase for the 6-month period of January 1 to June 30th that haven't been included in the current year's budget. Is that right?
And the
So they're being paid out of this year's budget?
They're being paid out of this year's budget.
Right.
The only thing with retro is not showing, when I use these numbers, I use the numbers that were approved at last year for the salary. So it does not include the additional, was about 20,000 for half a year.
I see, that's why you put, so,
Those numbers, because I went by what we approved at last year's meeting.
Yeah, so we approved it in anticipation of the study being done and then going back or not going back. So it was in the budget for this year.
So it's just not showing on, yes.
right, no, I understand.
So Anita, what are the figures in the far left column? It says summary for fiscal year 22-23 to 23-24 prior to retro.
Right, so
wages.
that doesn't include it. So if you
But-
look on above it,
but
it
we-
says
I think the town,
estimate with
yeah,
the retro.
is that just informational?
No,
'Cause-
that was, I was doing for myself, that was with the retro numbers in there, and then with who retired, who didn't, that would have been, it would have been an additional, like, was it like 10,000?
10,000.
10,000, yeah.
Yeah, so,
But that who,
so what we actually approved was 3.382 million last year. And
correct.
and we're asking for 3.529 this year, which is the 147
Yes.
difference, right? Okay.
So I-
But is it the case that the 6-month increment is only 10,647?
No, it was, the reason for that was because a couple of people retired, so it's.
So it's net of the retirement?
There's all adjustments and stuff like that.
Yeah, we eyeballed it last year, and then
Correct.
a couple folks retired, yeah.
And I think that was effectively approved last year, so we don't have to approve that 10,000.
No.
Yeah, it's not in the
Okay.
All right, so there's a motion, I think it was Dave and Matt, motion and seconded for 3,529 to 59. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Any abstentions? That passes.
Thank you. Special deductions are on a half sheet with whole bunch.
Is that this one?
Yeah, I really don't want to pay Social Security
Don't you
for our
want to get
employees.
You want somebody knocking on your door?
Okay.
So the effective request for our next year's budget is $508,250?
Correct.
So take a look at that and let me know if there are questions.
I'll make a motion for the 508-250.
I'll second it.
Matt and Andy, any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Any abstentions? Motion passes. Okay, review capital expenditures consolidated schedule. Now, that is the schedule, I guess Anita did print it out on 8.5 by 74, or whatever it is. The big sheet, I circulated the 11 over the weekend. So she did a wonderful job. David and I had, you were excused last week, having gone through the capital improvements and allocating money from the funds and figuring out this, that, and the other thing. And what Anita has done on this schedule is to capture, I think, accurately the decisions that we made last week. And I just want everybody to take a look at it on this piece of paper and make sure that it conforms to your understanding. So if you look at it, the 24-25 in blue are the number of dollars that we have to appropriate for the capital expenditures. The pink column to the left are the funds that we decided with Martha's help that we want to, the appropriations that we want to make this current fiscal year from existing funds. And then the pink column to the right are the expenditures that we want to take from existing funds for the next fiscal year. So you may remember that when we were going through the capital budget last week, we decided that some of those expenses should really be incurred and implemented this fiscal year, and that's where this comes from.
So the blue column is
New money.
new money, and the pink column to the right is funds transfers.
Correct.
All of the pink columns are funds, are just reappropriation of the funds that we do with other funds that have money in them that was not being used. We used it for other purposes. Or repurposed.
So, on the second
So
page,
there's no cost, no additional cost to taxpayers. It's money sitting
It's
there.
existing money, so it's not new money.
Yeah.
But the 24-25 column, pink column, that's new money, is it?
No.
Thought that was
The pink
money.
column for 24, so OLIME has a number of special funds that we contribute to every year or periodically that have accumulated a bunch of money. So if we decide to buy something that is provided for in one of those special funds, we can just dip into that fund and grab the money to pay for that thing, rather than add, a new line item to the tax budget.
So money, though, that we're putting, any new money that we're putting into the fund, where does that show up?
The blue.
That gets considered the expenditure, and it would be on this schedule?
Yep.
Okay.
so my question has to do with the bathrooms at the Cross Lanes Firehouse. We have, at the top of page 2, we have $14,500 to renovate the chief's interior shower. There's also, just above that, there's $15,000 of old money that's allocated for the men's renovation. I'm wondering if that happened, and if the old money for the men's renovation can be used for the chief's shower without shortchanging the men.
It means it was an expenditure, it doesn't mean that it was not done, which is the history.
So that $15,000 may not exist, may not be there anymore.
Right. you can look
That's
in-
something that we did.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Those past years are just your history of what was allocated, but not necessarily if it was completed.
Okay, we don't have that information.
Do you happen to
Your
know, Andy,
monthly-
whether it was
I-
done? Yeah?
Andy's at the fire department occasionally, he might know if it was done.
Well, no, I haven't been in that building since we used to vote there.
That's right.
We're all at Lime Street, so we don't go there. What do we need bathrooms there for? What year was that, Candace?
22-23.
Woods
I'm
nearby.
looking at the carryovers just to see.
He's so well.
I don't see it.
I didn't think I-
So I think it must have been spent
Okay,
or not carried
Returned.
over.
Or was it-
Yeah.
Or returned.
Or it was returned
yep, okay.
already. I'm just looking again.
So while you're looking at that, this might answer my other question too. Just below that in red, on Lime Street, there's a cracked heat exchange
That's next,
that had to be done immediately.
yeah?
I'm wondering if that's been completed?
No, it's waiting for you to approve it.
Oh, that seems
$4,300,
urgent.
right, Anita?
Yes,
They
they have
can-
not done it, and he said that they're getting away with, they have one of them, and that, because it's warmer out, they didn't need, so they could wait until the budget passed.
Well, we effectively approved it last week. This is just a recapitulation of what we did
Yep.
last week.
Because we did a lot of work to
But to
tease out.
the extent somebody has to say go with that, you should say go.
Okay.
So,
But the ones that go are in the pink, left-hand column. Not-
Oh, I'm sorry, you're absolutely right. So this is a problem.
Today.
This is a problem. They say, and I didn't pick up on it, Candace, I'm sorry, immediate replacement needed, and we say, let's wait for July 1st.
No, it's okay. They said they can get by
Yeah.
because the weather has been is warming up.
Okay.
They have one boiler going.
So they can get by until July 1st?
winter's over.
Correct.
What?
Okay.
Either that or we'll come running to you for an appropriation, but it's
You've
right
got it
now.
in petty cash.
I don't know.
So there are conflated, it seems, two different concepts here with the blue column. And this is what we talked about last week. We've got capital that we approve, and then we have funds transfers that we're approving.
The top of it is pretty much the capital, the bottom should be all the transfers.
So if I look at the blue column for 24-25, what we are approving,
If you go to the last page,
yep,
Bottom
there's
is,
a total.
bottom of
total
page.
I see, total transfers, general government, that's actually capital, right? The general government, that's capital expenditures, that's on our big sheet that we give to everybody to vote on.
Correct.
Right, so the first two pages are not fund transfers, they're capital projects.
No,
Capital
that's why I say it's conflated, because
So-
it's not teased out necessarily. When you look at the 24-25 column on the back page, that's a single column, but then it does break it out at the bottom of fund transfers versus capital expenditures.
But Anita hasn't given us the totals for the fund transfers, but I can.
What's right here? That's
No,
the
no.
actual amount.
Well, that's for the new money. The 1922 is new money.
Transfers last week, the only one you did not approve is, I came across while looking for something else, is land acquisition that we.
$100.
Make,
$100.
And we suggest about $100, the decision have to do $100.
Yeah, we'll deal with that in a minute. But just for your information, the total of the first pink column is 596,309.
What,
The last page, you have, and on the last page, you'll see that the blue column, which is new money, totals $1,922,733.
Mm-hmm.
That we have to get from the taxpayers next year. Okay? The first pink column, the total transfers that we authorized are 596,309.
But that's already, we've already done that.
Yep, I'm just saying that's the total number of dollars that we've authorized.
So confused.
But there are two sections on our budget sheet that we ask voters to approve.
Correct.
One
Transfers.
is transfers,
Correct.
and one is
Capital
expenditures.
Correct.
And so this column, the 24-25 column, has both,
No, it doesn't.
No. If you look at the bottom of page, look at the bottom of page
24,
2.
25 column.
That's the
just
grand
new money.
total of the general fund capital, which is 654,033, right?
Yes,
Then, the next part are all the funds.
Oh.
And then you have a list of all the funds, right?
So,
Then you have, at the very bottom, that one,
Yep.
962,733, that's the sum of the capital projects,
right.
right? The
Not including the fund
4,033
transfers.
Plus, plus all the fund transfers that we're
Right.
transferring into the funds this year. Look at the bottom page.
Well, it's probably the easiest one to look at.
The new
is
transfers,
On the back page,
total
the thing
transfers,
you're talking about.
the
Let's
government,
look at the fire truck.
general government, that's
Yeah,
your capital
yeah,
fund.
That's 800 grand.
Well, 150,000 in the blue column, 2425, it's the last item in the
Right.
blue column.
Right?
$150,000, which that's the 150 going into the fire equipment fund.
Well,
It's not being spent in our capital next year. We're not writing a check for that next year. It's going into the
The
fund,
fund.
accumulating the money for the $1.5 million truck. We're gonna buy
Correct.
25 or 6.
Yeah.
But
So
it-
that
it-
is funding the fund.
Right.
But the distinctive feature of the blue column is it's new money.
Correct.
Whether it's money that is going to purchase something today or going into a fund to purchase something tomorrow,
Correct.
it's new money.
And the
That's
total,
right.
Exactly,
So this is the
exactly.
total of what we're gonna buy next year
Yeah.
and what we're putting into the fund balances
So,
that may be spent next year or in 25, 26, 26.
so Diane pointed out what Anita had done. My question was the enumeration of the capital expenditures versus the fund transfers, and that is here.
Yeah.
So the 654 for this year that we're gonna try to approve tonight, hopefully, right, is down from 1.2 million last year that we approved. And when I look at the fund transfers, that also is down from 1.433
2.
1268. So that was my question. And so the information's here, and that was my only question.
So I will say though, in the fund part of it, so the second half here, so the blue column, again, is what we're going to be putting into the fund. But there's also a pink column, so we're also proposing that,
It was already in the fund, and
but we're going to use it.
and we're gonna use that money.
Correct. That's what I was just,
Not necessarily next year.
Yeah.
no, that's kind of the plan. That's the.
No,
No. It's like a fire truck in 5 years.
No,
So-
the one.
but there, for the fire truck, there's nothing in the pink.
But you talk about the pink column,
The
the
pink
pink
is the
column.
24,
fund
25 pink column. That's money we're planning on using
next year.
Next year.
next year.
Correct.
That's an expenditure that we're doing. Okay.
But it doesn't require revenue, taxpayers to pay for it.
It doesn't require new
But,
revenue.
right.
Some of it is new revenue, but
Right.
some of it is not.
Right.
Correct.
Yeah,
So it's a mixture.
yeah, because we are adding to
You
the
do a
fund.
fund.
No, I'm just making sure
So,
everybody else
but-
understands that there is, we are indicating what money we're going to use from the fund. Or we intend to use from the
Right,
fund
and that's why
next
they
year.
want to show down how these
Exactly.
to confuse what you were adding in.
So my bigger question has been answered because this, now I know, is going to be what we see on the budget sheet that we're asking the town to approve.
Well, the original 11,000 I will add to this.
Right,
For
so,
the town clerk.
for the town clerk.
So they'll, right.
So that's going to, so there are two motions that we need tonight.
Well, but I don't know what the numbers are yet. So let me ask Anita, on the bottom of the blue column, you have what purports to be totals. I'm curious, if I were to add up all of the numbers in the blue column, what would the total be?
1,922,733 plus the 11,000 that we just added tonight.
Perfect.
All those include
Perfect.
$7.
Okay, so, and that's what I thought, just eyeballing the blue column, I thought 1.9 looks about right, okay? But if you look at your columns above it, the heading is total transfers, 1,268,700.
Mhm.
And what did you mean by the words total transfers?
That's your transfer that you do on your other, on your budget, it's called transfers.
Well, but it isn't transfer from existing funds.
It's transferred from your general fund to other funds. And they're
Okay.
called transfers.
But not from the special funds.
No, it's from your general fund to
Perfect.
another fund.
Perfect. Yeah, I just wanted to distinguish between, basically, it's new money, right? It's not transferred from the existing funds.
No, it's transferred from the general fund.
Okay.
That's where I get confused as well, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I changed it.
So the 654 is now going to be 665,
Right.
and then the other number is set.
Correct.
Oh, I thought, okay.
So I think, and the
$1 and the 11,000, those are the two motions, and then this is.
yeah, the problem that I had after last week's meeting is what did we actually
That was
vote on to
fund
approve?
transfer.
And we approved transfers, but I wasn't sure that we approved all of the expenditures. So what I'd like to do tonight is to approve the three numbers on the bottom of this page, namely the new money as well as the transfers from the funds.
And this is a good sheet.
Correct.
That we're now all in agreement, that we
Correct.
understand, et cetera. Yeah.
Correct.
Yep.
So the change we have from the 1,922,000, we can increase that by 10,000, is that right?
11?
11. All right, so what's the number?
Is the 100?
The 100's already in there.
It is in there, okay. All right.
Oh, so we're going to increase it.
11,000.
Just 11,000? So it's 1,933,733?
Included in that number now.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Anita.
So what's our new number?
1936.
733.
You're
You want
fine.
total transfers, you want total transfers?
Yep, 1,933.
No, that's
Well,
the
that's the
total.
grand total.
Grand,
No.
12687.
1, 2.
We should approve them separately.
1268700
Because one is transfers and one
is
is
the total
capital.
transfer.
Because we added a
So that
transfer.
number's a good number.
Right, so what did you say, 1,279,700?
No, that
No.
number's the same. The number that's on there.
12700.
0, 0.
That number's good on the sheet.
What do I do?
That number's good.
Yep, okay.
Don't
And
touch
then
that.
what number do I change? Where do we get the
Capital,
11,000?
It's going to add to the 654.
All right, so that becomes
Sorry,
6,
that's right. The transfers are gonna increase by 11 because of the town.
Oh,
Yeah.
so it goes from 1,268 to 1,279?
9700.
7.
Okay.
Got it. Yeah, you're right, that was the same number we had before. That doesn't.
It could be
Okay, so that
either
goes to
or. but-
1,279,700. The bottom line changes to 1,933,733. As I said, the first pink column adds to 596,309. The second column adds to 191,937, if you trust me. So I would entertain motions for those three numbers. So first would be transfers for the fiscal year 23-24 in the amount of 596,309.
What?
Anybody?
No. What?
Just 24, 25.
Well, but don't we have to make this transfer for the current fiscal year?
No,
No.
we don't.
We did that last year, we're all set with that. So it's just this
Okay,
year.
so we approved the transfers and we don't have to approve the expenditures?
No.
That was
No.
approved in the budget.
Yeah, that's right.
In the capital
Gotcha.
budget of
Okay.
whatever year it was
Yeah.
Okay,
accumulated.
that's fine. Then the next number would be the 1,933,733 for capital expenditures out of pocket. Anybody make that motion?
Well, that's comprised of two numbers, though.
Yeah, do you want to do the total transfer
Separately?
for the capital project?
Okay. So Dave, make whatever motion you want to make.
So I take a motion for $1,279,700 for total transfers for the 24-25 year.
I'll second that.
Russell?
Okay, Diane seconds it. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Any abstentions? Approved.
Good.
Then we got the 654 number. Somebody?
I'll make the motion to approve $654,033 for general government capital expenditures, the official.
I'll second that.
Andy seconds, any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Any abstentions? Motion passes. Then shall we approve the 191,937 for transfer?
They have to, it's just the sum of the two.
That's just the sum.
It's just the total sum.
Huh?
It's the sum of the two numbers we just approved.
No, it isn't.
Yes, it is.
No.
Yes, it is.
The 191,937, 191,937 are the appropriations that we approved for the 24-25 fiscal year to be funded from existing special funds.
We don't need to approve those.
That one.
Once they're transferred to the special funds, it's reasonably discretionary, and we haven't approved those in the past.
No. So, there's no material difference.
Right.
But my thought is, we approved to put a whole bunch of money into a fund.
Yep.
And then people come to us and say, can I take 100,000 from this fund to buy this? And doesn't the Board of Finance approve that expenditure?
I don't know that we have in the past.
Shouldn't we?
We usually let you know what we're hoping to do, but we don't, I mean,
Except
I would...
for EMS, but.
There have been times where I think which fund? The town hall fund.
Well, I don't care enough about it to
Or
waste
the town-
time tonight.
The town-wide building improvement fund, which is very generic, that, we all of a sudden need a door at the firehouse. And we'll say, geez, we've got $108,000 in there. Can we take it out of there? And that's usually a vote at a meeting.
Right.
We're not approving new money, we're
Right.
approving expenditure
Right.
of money
So
out
we
of
got
a fund.
$1 million in the fund, and Ed comes to us and says, can I take 500,000 to buy X? And we say yes, but the yes should be confirmed by a vote.
So
It hasn't been
what yes do you-
memorialized, to your point, and it should be, because if Ed needs a new dump truck, and we've been saving up for it, he just buys it. I don't think that...
He doesn't come to us first for permission to buy that particular truck?
I don't remember that ever happening, but
Let's have
weirdly,
him do that in the future.
but weirdly, a door, we have had acknowledgement from the selectmen, hey, we're gonna, redo the windows or whatever.
I mean.
Was that a
we
new
voted on
expense, though?
Even though the fire trucks have been allocated for with a fund, they usually come to us and say, okay, here's the quotes, it's
This is the
time.
one I want to buy.
Right.
But
This
it's
is,
a little
you know,
loosey-goosey.
It is, because the money's there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But it's in
So
full
can-
transparency. It's in full transparency, and you're letting people know, we've saved up for this, and now we're ready to buy it.
Right, and
Yeah.
we did our due diligence,
Right.
we just didn't go spend it.
But to your point, BJ, tonight, I don't think we need to approve those expenditures that we think are gonna happen in the next year necessarily, right?
It's immaterial, the numbers are small. So, I'm good.
Okay.
And Matt wants to get out of here by 9:30.
He hasn't stood up yet, we're good. Stand up. Stand up and stretch, time to go.
Okay, and you know something, it is 8:12.
I got left hanging.
I have to make an announcement. It's 8:12. I've been feeling so guilty for keeping us here until 10:11. That's not going to happen tonight.
I do have some other, I will say that I have some things to tell you, some other business.
Good, but it's not going to take 2 hours.
Unless you ask a question.
It's our meeting, BJ, we can end it.
Okay, Martha, tell us about the project transfers, the land acquisition,
We already did that, that's $100.
Instead of 75,000.
Great.
$100 from the capital, from our
It's in
budget
it's in the
to...
budget.
Goes into, for open space, no, by law, we have to make a comment.
No, it has.
Okay,
Got lumped into
so
this.
I will entertain a motion,
No,
We did it, it's already in there.
It's here.
what?
We already did it.
Oh, we already did it?
$100
Oh,
worth.
okay,
In there.
Yep,
terrific.
so that is good.
That's what she sent you in the email this week. And then, so once you said.
I know
okay,
that we
you put it in.
individually approved it, I didn't know that we
No,
had formally approved
Put it
it.
in, so tonight you'd approve it over.
Gotcha,
You have to do your minutes first, approval minutes, so that Michelle will be able to do it tonight.
will do.
Yeah.
So the first minutes are those of 2 weeks ago, March 12, and I have no comments on those.
I'm abstaining, I wasn't there, so.
So folks, did you distribute those tonight, Michelle?
Yeah, they're out here if anybody needs.
So I've looked at them, but other folks
Yeah,
look at
I also
them?
got an email, so hopefully you read them ahead of time.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from March 12th.
Second.
Any discussion? Okay. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Any abstentions? Motion passes. So now we're going to look at the minutes of the 19th last week. I do have some comments on those, but let me have other people speak first.
For a 4-hour meeting, these minutes are pretty thin.
No, I noticed, I wasn't here.
But
I was there on the 12th.
the way minutes ought to be.
Well, no, there's one difference, these are printed on both sides, whereas the minutes on the 12th are single-sided. So
There you go.
that might account for some difference in number of pages.
So I have no, I'll move the minutes of March 19th, 2024.
For a second?
I'll second.
Discussion, me. On the second page, the second to last paragraph that begins also included in general government, Michelle has listed a whole bunch of stuff that has omitted painting one side of town hall for $15,430.
What was the amount?
$15,430. And unless my notes don't indicate improperly that that was deleted, it should be inserted perhaps after town hall improvements of $6,500. You see that, Michelle?
Yep. Interior offices. And that was 15,500?
Yeah, paint one side of town hall for $15,430. And then on the third page, underneath information technology, a motion was made by Mr. Kelsey, seconded by Mr. Beringer, to add $200,000 to Public Works Vehicle Fund, and that reflects my recollection, so that's good. But the next one does not. The 1004 Public Works Capital, a motion made by Kelsey, seconded by Ryder, who isn't here to defend herself, to approve $200,000 for Public Works and Capital. And I could find no record of that second $200,000 for capital.
It's the same thing, you made the motion
I'm
twice.
sorry?
It's the same 200,000, you made the motion twice.
Just to underscore it.
Well, if it's the same motion that was made twice, we have to reflect that in the minutes.
So I have to, because first two people made the motion to put it into transfer funds, project funds, and then somebody approved the 200,000. So the motion was made twice for the same 200,000.
Okay, so the bottom line is it's the same 200,000, but we have to have words here that describe the facts. So somebody help me with those words.
So were both voted on, Michelle and Kat?
It was voted to move to the capital fund transfer.
But-
A motion was made first for the 200,000, and then right afterwards, they made the motion to accept the 200,000 into the capital transfer fund.
Right, so when I'm hearing, and I trust you, then
You know,
the second motion was in effect to say, to take the 200,000 for the vehicle fund from the existing special fund or something.
Yeah, I thought this was the,
think it was just-
taking it out and then putting it back in.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like a transfer, I don't know.
I think it was more like.
I'm not sure how to word it, I just know I don't,
Sure what we
You
did.
know what? The effect is $200,000 was approved. We should just delete maybe under 1/3, the motion made by me, seconded by Fred. And then the public knows what happened. We didn't approve
400,000. And there's only $200,000 in the budget, in the capital budget we just approved.
that we are going to ask people to vote on.
Correct.
And so that would
For the
conform.
international dump truck replacement.
Is that good?
And it's 200,000 in this budget, and then we're taking 32,488
Right.
out of the fund that's existing, but the 200,000, there's only 200,000 in there that I can find.
well, I mean, I think the record will be sufficiently clear if we just delete the first motion. That's what you're suggesting?
I think so, yeah.
Do you want me to put in the next set of minutes to delete first motion?
Correct.
As it was for the same monies? or
Correct.
something like that?
I mean, the
Correct.
duplicate motion.
Duplicate.
Just put Kelsey's space.
Just wanted to make sure Ed got it struck.
By then it was 30.
Three laps from the.
I really wanted it.
You make more motions.
Those are my comments. Does anybody have any other comments or questions on the March 19th minutes? The minutes have been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Any abstentions?
Hi. No, it's not here.
Oh, none of the Ruffles were here. How can we function?
The family dynasty was missing last week.
Okay, so Andy and Kim abstain. I don't have any other business. We don't have any public to comment, but we do have, and I don't know why the first selectman isn't on here. You should be on here.
Well, usually during budget season, I'm just or Kim's the quiet bunch on the side, adding information when we can, but I do have some things to just update you on. Last week you approved $95,000 to go to the board town meeting, and the Board of Selectmen also approved that. However, as we got everyone excited about this project, Eric and Don Bugbee and Ed started working on it to see if we could get some quotes. So just so you know, because it's in a flood zone, we need permits. Because it's in a flood zone, it has to go to zoning commission. It has to have a CAM approval by the state, which makes recommendations to the zoning, and it has to have a site plan with structural engineering. So you're already up into August, so once we get on all those boards and the CAM approval will probably take 30 to 45 days. So it can still go to town meeting. As Eric said, if you'd like, we can still go. He does not recommend that we do it in the fall, because if we have a hurricane, that would be, but we would still approve the 95 and then probably not do it till the spring of 20.
Well, but if it's certain that it's not going to be done before July 1st, it's silly to add it as a complexity to the town meeting rather
That's up
than
to
just
you.
adding it to our budget.
Well, that's up to you. You can add it to the budget.
95,000 enough to get all those things done?
We don't know. They're getting quotes now. They're actively getting quotes so that we'll know. But I did reach out to Nathan Jacobson. They can do this site work, and we already do have a plan that Don has saved from years ago, so they can start with that and not have to start from scratch. Same exact dimensions that are there. That will help with the state approvals because we're replacing an existing structure, although with a little bit more complexity. So it's up to you. We can take it off the town meeting. We haven't put the call out yet, so we could take it off. It was a huge, Soundview there were many emails coming in that took their gazebo away, but we were fixing White Sands. But I'll follow up because they still have more information on that. So that is up to you. If you'd like, we can take it off the call. We can add it to the budget and then have it be ready to go, or send it to the meeting. It'll still basically be in the budget, but it'll be a special so that we can get started on it immediately with site work and all that.
Yeah, I mean, town meetings are lovely, but to bring up another item for town meeting that isn't necessary seems to be a bad idea, since we can just put it in the budget for the next fiscal year.
Unless that means that we can't start doing anything on it.
They can certainly go
Yeah.
out and get some various quotes on things and then start, but,
Well, it sounds like there's a lot of work you need to do. You mentioned zoning and all that stuff, so
that's going to zoning board.
you can all
So really,
do
the
all
narrow
that.
question is, do we have to start spending money
Money.
before July 1st? And if we may, then we should leave it in this fiscal year.
We would not do anything until July 1st that would cost money. We wouldn't hire Jacobson to do anything.
Because you're not gonna install till a year from now, right?
But as Eric said, he'd love to be ready to go at the, middle of March next year.
Yeah.
If, we're not getting a blizzard. It would be great to get moving on it.
Do you think there'd be enough, you'd hate to have the town budget voted down because there's opposition to one item in the budget.
Well, I explained that I gave them some explanations, and that's what I'm going to follow up with you on. Because right now, we're probably going to have to come for a special appropriation because, as you know, we are under, the Department of Justice has ruled that we are not fair in the Soundview parking lot, that we do not have ADA compliant parking spots, nor do we have ADA compliant parking on the street on Hartford Ave. So we had a complaint filed against us by a resident, and they investigated it, and I have been in touch off and on with a judge down in New Haven who is monitoring this. I sent him a picture when it was flooded and said, I can't really be doing anything about handicap parking at the moment. But we met with the MobiMat representative this week. We thought we would put in the MobiMats, which would be able to be installed now. But one MobiMat, and we would need 5 of them, is $7,500. So once we added those up, we had Public Works there, we had MobiMat, we had Frank Pappalardo, we had the entire ADA committee present, and it was decided that Public Works would go out for a quote for blacktop, and because lines would have to be properly painted, etc. They have 2 options of where to put these, and George and one of the other Public Works people are going to meet some of the ADA committee down there to discuss. So they would blacktop the 5 parking spaces.
Just the parking spaces, not
Yes.
the entire lot?
No, just the
Okay.
5 parking spaces area. They'll paint it. They'll get the right stickers. We already have some signs, but we'll realign that. So basically, because of the number of parking spots, we need 2 regular handicap spots and 1 handicapped van accessible for a wheelchair. So that's why we're taking up 5 parking spots out. Then we'll have to do a curb cut on the street. So, and I think that they feel they found the perfect spot. We walked up and down Hartford Ave yesterday, deciding where it could go. There is also another wrinkle, though. You also have to have handicapped accessible bathrooms.
Even if we
In
don't
the
have
parking
bathrooms for the non-handicapped?
For the beach. And the bathrooms that you provide for the beach, at
It's a
least.
permeable surface.
Are you saying pee in the ocean?
There's the ocean.
So there are portable potties that are handicapped accessible, and we would have to then place that somewhere near the handicapped parking space. That will probably also require some type of fencing around it, so there is some.
And asphalt leading to it.
So this is going to be coming. So as I explained to Soundview, right now you are going to have improvements. It's not the gazebo, but it is improvements to Soundview, and it's going to be a huge expense. But we have to comply with this because we cannot open for the season. They'll put a judgment on us to not open because we're not providing correctly.
We
So-
were out of compliance for this long just because nobody brought
Compliant.
The biggest problem is when, and this is something that they're going to have to correct, you can't close the parking lot when you think the lot is full. because handicapped parking isn't always full. So a handicapped person cannot get out and open the gate. You know, one of us, if we got down there and saw there were 5 empty spots, I'd just open the gate and drive in. But they can't. So somebody went, the gate was closed during working hours when it should have been open. They couldn't get into one of the handicapped spots. They called town hall, they complained.
It's a cottage industry. I mean, New York City is filled with attorneys. This is all they do, is go into a restaurant and say, oh my gosh, it's not ADA compliant.
Well, this is the state ADA committee.
Well, I've
Yeah,
actually
but it's the
looked at
Department of Justice is involved. That's kind of weird, but anyway.
That's where the
It seems
complaint
like
goes.
somebody knows what they're doing. Yeah.
I'm just letting you know
That's
that
why the
Now we
Department of
gotta deal with
Justice
it.
goes.
Yeah,
we have
there's
to
a-
deal with it.
yeah,
So
yeah.
we're getting estimates and we'll have estimates, but
All right, so my question you can't answer yet, namely, does the town need more money this fiscal year to
We will.
accommodate the consent decree or whatever it is?
we will, but I don't have
it yet.
I
That
hope
may be an item on the town meeting. in-
town meeting.
If it's over 20,000, of course,
It will
it will
I'm
be
sure.
over 20,000.
Do they give us a timeline to get this done?
I think he'd like it done by the time the beach opens on Memorial Day.
Wow.
Now, of course, and the town meeting is May 6th, so we have to be ready to go. I mean, the asphalt
Well,
and the,
We can always call a town meeting, so, but combining the 95 grand that we've already suggested to go to.
yeah, no, but that's,
So, but there's gonna be another need, is what I'm saying, that's substantial enough
yeah.
that maybe we push it off until another time or not. That's kind of the question.
The
that we've
95?
got.
So
The
this is
95
white
plus
sand.
whatever this may or
Well,
may
but
not
there's
be.
a difference in timing, right? This has to be done before the summer, before June 1st. The 95 can't be spent until after July 1st. So given that it can't be spent until next fiscal year, we should put it into the budget.
Not if we send the 95 to town meeting, that's in May. And then we can-
No, but why should we do that? If we have the alternative of getting the town to approve it at a town meeting or approve it as part of the budget for next fiscal year.
I think that's probably the best way to do it with
The
white
latter
sands.
is less
With white sands, I would
red
just push it
flagging
to the
it.
budget, put it in the budget, and we will prep for engineering and everything ahead of time and then get things moving July
I
1st
think
for white sands.
we have time for the budget. I don't think the budget's gonna be pleasant. So I think that,
You're wrong. It's going to be fine for next year.
So yeah,
The
you're
bad year is 2 years from now.
that is totally true because numbers I have are 12% increase in taxes. Yeah.
Well,
So
you'll have revale. That's gonna help.
it's not gonna help.
It's still money.
No, it
It's not gonna
change
change the pocket.
12% increase in taxes, whether your property goes up or the mill rate changes
We'll
or
work
whatever
out.
it is.
Let's
Yeah.
get the projects done now so we don't have to do them in 2 years.
57 million was too much, but I will remain quiet about that. So, but at any
You
rate,
gotta take 20 grand off of that. You got an HVAC grant.
In any event, so to distill it down, you're going to come back to us with a request for more money to satisfy the ADA
I think
requirements.
that it's probably better to put the White Sands Beach in the budget and let us prep for it, and then we'll work
Right.
through it, and next spring, be able to do it.
So let's discuss that. The question on the table is, shall we, under other business, go back and add the White Sands Beach gazebo, not to exceed 95,000, to the 24-25 budget? Right now, it's been pulled into this fiscal year. Any thoughts? If none, then I would entertain a motion.
I move that we move the 95, not to the White Sand
Beach gazebo.
Project.
to next year's budget, not to exceed $95,000.
The second? Please?
I'll second.
Kim?
Hanging here.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Any abstentions? That passes. Okay, so it's bounced back from next year to this year, back to next year. But the concern that we had last
I
week
don't know if
with
it passed
Ed...
with 2 votes.
Say what?
I don't know if it passed with 2
Oh,
votes.
did people not vote?
Yeah.
Andy didn't vote?
But they didn't vote no.
I think we need to-
Abstain, so I don't know.
Well, I think we should talk
That
a little
means-
bit about,
So-
like, the overall
Well,
plan.
two is not a majority.
I understand that, but
Fair
So two
enough.
votes.
Fair enough.
Like-
So let's just kind of redo it.
Yeah.
The motion has been made and seconded. Let's go back to discussion. Matt?
Well, I just think we should look at it, so just so I'm clear on the holistic plan, you want to bring the ADA compliance piece to town meeting, correct?
Once we have a
Just
plan.
Once you have
Numbers and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, so the plan would be instead of including the 95,000 on the town meeting, you want to put it in the budget.
They're completely separate issues.
They are, but I do think they, in some way,
Well, the
connect.
numbers are additive over time, but we approved last week the $95,000 gazebo for this year.
But that has to go to town
And
meeting.
we would have to go to town meeting to approve it for this year. But Martha has now found out because of regulatory approvals, we can't start it this fiscal year. So it has to get started in next fiscal year. And normally when we have an expense item for the following fiscal year, we just, in time to put it in the budget, we just do that.
My only point is Soundview has been asking for a gazebo for like 14 years.
We can move the other one back.
And so they're going to see 95 grand
No,
for a
they've
gazebo
already-
at White Sands.
No, I
of
had a
all
meeting,
places?
I went to Soundview Commission last night.
Yeah.
And explained.
And what they said?
I said, you're getting an ADA compliant parking lot this year, and once you give me a plan of where you're gonna put the gazebo, because we have some other issues there. One is that Pond Road is still under contention with Miami Beach. So there is some money that Soundview has, that they're going to put in to resurvey the parking lot to where our lines actually are. It's a very good idea to do, because everybody seems to have a different idea where the stakes are. And that's one thing, because another thing, I'm not putting a gazebo in a parking lot. They could find out that corner of the parking lot is not ours. So,
But it's been 14 years that they've been asking for a gazebo, and so...
well, they have their,
I'm just pointing it out. I'll probably vote for the 95 grand, but
we could temporarily, though, their gazebo is at the Cross Lane Firehouse. That's their gazebo. They moved it there in 2017.
I
And
know
it
that
was-
because I was on Soundview Commission from the very beginning,
And it
so I know
was-
the history.
Okay, so it supposedly was not repairable, but it's been repaired, and it's fine. So we could bring it back temporarily, and they could have it for a few years, and then they'd have a gazebo. I just said to Frank, can you find me a plan of where you're gonna put it in a safe place?
Yeah,
Once you get ADA figured out, because you gotta figure out where that's gonna go.
yeah, and
then-
that's not their issue. That's, ADA is ADA. You have to
Right.
comply with it, as Candace said.
Right. So that-
So,
so
but they've
one-
been asking for a gazebo forever, and all of a sudden, we're gonna approve $95,000 for White Sands Beach gazebo out of the blue. People are gonna blow their tops
We
down
already
at Soundview.
did. The emails all came in yesterday.
Okay, all right.
So
I've dealt with that.
we've also talked about the White Sands Beach gazebo for probably 5 or 6 years.
It was in the budget for 10 years.
That's been problematic from storm damage and everything else, pushing boards up, and we need to make sure that's going to be ADA compliant
It will be.
when it gets put
Can I
in.
just, you referenced an ADA committee. So is this a group of people who are knowledgeable in ADA regulations? And is that a town
It's
commission?
a town committee, yep. So it's Amy Bonatti, who's social services. It is Jen Datum, who also was social services prior to her. Missy Garvin from LYSP. It is Katie Bullock is on it. And there's another person.
Well, it's just, I'm just delighted to
I'm
hear.
ex officio on everything.
I'm delighted to hear that we have such a commission, because in other properties, they just kind of, sort of did stuff thinking it was based on ADA, but I don't think anybody ever really looked at the regs to see whether what they were doing.
Amy had the book. She was going through it yesterday. That's
Yeah,
why she
no,
got the
that's-
bathroom contingent on that
No,
one.
that's good.
So, and the bathroom is just a rental. It's a rental for the year, but it will have to become ADA, and we might have
It'll
to.
take up more room than the other ones,
And
and placing it is going to be
another issue,
something that you have to take into account ADA accessibility, both from the parking spaces and people that aren't parked in those spaces.
But it sounds,
So I think I think it's a good reason to hold off on the gazebo
I
in
said,
terms of taking the old one and moving it back there, as long as it doesn't fall apart.
I talked to Michaela and to Frank, and I said, come up with a plan.
Yep.
Because we're asking Haynes Park to come up with a plan. Where are you putting things? You can't just willy-nilly buy things and put them places.
Right.
So let's come up with the overall plan. What's it gonna look like? Because we all want toys. We need to be able to put and say, this is gonna be the permanent place for it. Like I said to Frank, the whole back corner towards Pond Road and Portland, don't even bother putting a gazebo in there. It's just a flood zone. I mean, every storm we had, it was under 1.5 feet of water. So let's not put a gazebo there. Let's find a place. So they're gonna work on it. They're gonna take time to do some research and get some numbers, and that'll be okay. But you can, if you want to put it back in, but they have a gazebo that we could move over there for a few years until we straighten out everything else. And it just takes flatbed, and Ed had was, and that's how we got it to Cross Lane. I don't know why it was moved to Cross Lane. Maybe someone else knows. I don't know if it was the result of a storm or what.
We've got a motion on the table regarding the White Sands Beach gazebo. You can bring up Soundview gazebo if you want to under other business, but let's deal with White Sands at the moment. What was dispositive for me last week was Ed Adonti saying that the current structure at White Sands Beach is dangerous.
Yeah.
So we can't leave, it's not repairable and it's dangerous, so we really have to remove it. Or we have to remove it, period, and then the question becomes, we want to put in a new one, and he implied that there would be rioting in the streets if we didn't put in a new one. Now, that's his view, but it was on that basis that we made the decision last week that we did. So further discussion on that right now.
I guess I wasn't here last week to be part of that discussion, but if it's dangerous, do we have to take it out? Should we take it out now
We had that.
and have no gazebo for this season until we put the new one in?
That's a possibility.
I mean, is it that
He
dangerous?
implied or was confident that we could in fact install the new gazebo before swimming season begins.
David, I believe you said that when you went down to look at the windows at the bathhouse, you also had sort of glanced over at the...
Yeah, I mean,
I have
people's
it.
view of dangerous is different, but it's not going to fall on anybody.
No.
But it's a splinter, issue, that's for sure, and it does need to be replaced. And
I have not had time to go down there this weekend to look at it since our last meeting, so
Yeah.
I'm more than happy to
And it
take a
needs to
look.
be done properly.
Right.
So my only point is, having it in the budget buries it for Soundview folks compared to having it at a town meeting where everyone says yay or nay. So that's my consideration of whether we put it in the budget, because that was the motion. We either put it in the budget or we take it to town meeting. It's $95,000. It's a very large expenditure.
But that's
for
an
the town.
interesting point.
Yeah.
Because in either event, the Board of Finance has to approve the action.
Right.
Right?
Well,
So, in other words, if it's going to go to a town meeting, it has to go with our blessing.
no, because, and we've talked about this in the past too, we don't necessarily have to approve an expenditure.
I think we do, but
Yeah.
we don't have to agree on
Yeah.
that tonight. But I'd be interested if we disapprove, we should talk about that.
And send it to town
Yeah.
meeting?
But David is raising an interesting political question, right? Whether it's important enough so that it is better for the community to see it as a standalone item and make a vote on it rather than...
That's my only point.
And
That's
please
a
remember,
good question.
the Soundview gazebo is in the budget for the next year. I mean, we just moved it out a year. We didn't take it out, we just moved it.
Well, it's not in
I
this
know,
year's
it's not
budget.
this year,
Yeah.
but it's not.
And that is the way it's been for 12 years. It's always been like 1 year out. So,
I know.
yeah, and I know that it is a significant issue of consternation for folks down at Soundview. So, that's my...
What do others think? We're in the discussion phase of the vote.
Well, if you build two next year, do we get a better deal?
Well, the one for the parking lot is not the same type of structure. It would be just a wooden structure that they would buy and it would come as a kit and be built.
Plot down.
So what else is coming before the town meeting in terms of budgetary things? The senior center? also?
Senior center.
80,000 and thing, and then there's,
The senior center dwarfs this.
Hmm?
I mean, the senior center is enormous compared to this.
Yeah, but 95 grand is, 880 is the senior center, which people already approved $5.6 million for. Another 95 grand may give people, they may want to know that it's there versus a giant sheet of numbers.
And the 880 is really 650. I think that David has a legitimate question that you should think about, but if there's no further discussion, you're going to have to think about it with your vote. And if you vote it down, then the next motion or discussion is going to be to approve it for presentation to a town meeting rather than abandon it, is my guess.
it's already been approved to go to town meeting.
All right, okay, so if this motion is defeated, then it would continue on the agenda for the town meeting.
I guess I don't feel like we're burying it in the budget any more than we're burying anything else.
I would think that it would be presented in the budget as one of the large capital expenditures
Yeah.
that would be going forward. It wouldn't be hidden. And certainly,
Also, it's not some pet project and we have to replace this because of the safety concerns. Right?
It's not like we're trying to sneak something in that's not needed, or not timely. And yes, there are other projects that, maybe aren't needed quite as much, and so they keep getting pushed out. That happens. But this one, I think it was made pretty clear that it's really not becoming unusable and unsafe. So the fact that, to delay it, I don't think is really an option. So I don't feel that there's any problem in putting it into the budget. And it makes more sense if we're not going to actually be spending the money until next year, probably not even really the majority of the money until next March, to March of 25. Why would we vote on it now to put it in this year's budget?
Any other comments? Okay, then I'm going to call for a vote. And the motion on the table is to include in the 24-25 budget of an amount not to exceed $95,000 for the White Sands Beach gazebo. And Anna, for your information, we're not going to stay until 10:50 tonight.
Can you start over again for
How much time do you have?
I told them not to ask questions when I brought up others.
Martha has determined that the White Sands gazebo that we approved last meeting to go to town meeting can't be done in this fiscal year because of regulatory approvals. So if it can't be done this fiscal year, the question is, should we just put it in the budget rather than put it to a town meeting? So I'm now going to call for a vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 ayes. 5 ayes. All opposed say nay. Any abstentions?
A lot more emails to you from Soundview.
Motion passes. Okay, so we're going to include it in the budget for next year, and I can mention it in the information session for the budget.
It's large enough to be material.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
Did you vote,
It is
PJ?
an enhancement, an improvement to our town,
Right.
at least White Sands.
I know, that's the issue for the people in Soundview.
There are a lot of people from town who use White Sands Beach,
Yeah.
especially people with young kids.
Well, it's all about who shows up at a meeting to approve stuff.
I know.
And you don't want one item to
Yeah.
I know. Well, it's sports separate.
overshadow everything.
Well,
else.
but shame on people. We'll have an information meeting on the 15th of April, and people should come to that.
Okay, we also, this is a small one.
What do we need
Yeah.
to do on the ADA issue at Soundview?
Nothing
Really,
yet,
nothing
but
you
she
can
doesn't
do
have
until
any
we have the
calls.
money. We have to.
Until you
I
have
just wanted
you have
to-
figures for us.
I'm just trying to let you
So
know.
if you're
that it's
looking
coming.
to start that by Memorial Day,
Done.
it has to be done by Memorial Day. The town meeting is May 20th.
Well, no, there's going to be another town meeting, or is there going to be another town meeting in
No,
April?
the town.
April
the town
15th?
meeting,
We'd have to have a
when?
special one.
The end of
I
April.
mean, until we get all the numbers in, there's no way.
We- We've
have-
got time to get the numbers in and include it in the meeting where we approve the overall budget.
But that's too late.
That's May
20th.
Yeah.
I think 20th.
Oh, we got so many.
20th.
If
Can't finish
this
it
has to be done
before
for this season,
Memorial Day.
We would have,
Can't
we
say.
would have to have another town meeting.
you got to have one in April.
We have one in April, April 15th.
The budget hearing.
Now, is there some attorney from the
That's-
Department of Justice that's going to be down at Soundview parking lot?
Yeah, that's
On Memorial Day,
Memorial
in his wheelchair.
The senior center is going to go to town meeting on April 15th, senior center.
But
Is
you
that
guys
the
don't
same
think
day
you'll
as
have
the
any
budget
days
hearing?
of...
Yes, so it's at 7:30 and you're doing the budget here.
Hopefully nobody comes.
We're doing it at the middle school.
So you don't think you'll have enough numbers to be able to put this one forward?
No, because you need 2 weeks for the call.
Is there really a hard deadline on this? I mean, if you're showing that you're actively pursuing a remedy, isn't that enough to satisfy people? There's only so much we can do in so amount of time.
New Britain is going to go nuts if they can't park down at Soundview. It's going to be riots.
We'll work it out.
Sure.
Look, we thought that Moby Mat was going to be our answer, but when he started handing out the numbers, I was like, this is not going to, and the guys from Public Works were like, again, Blacktop is so much cheaper than $7,500.
But without knowing, but to Fred's point, if this has just recently been raised, and if it's a state enforcement, I've dealt with the feds, I would think they would be reasonable in timing to
As long as
permit
we
the
have a
town
plan, but-
to do
Well,
the
we
work in
can't
a
go- I'm sure that-
responsible way.
Right, but I'm sure that we're not going to be allowed to just go throughout the whole season without it.
No, I guess
You're making the effort.
my point is the converse. I wouldn't want you to feel pressure to do something imprudent because somebody in Hartford is being annoying
New
or
Haven.
obnoxious.
New Haven, but we'll,
New Haven.
I think that as long as we continue open communication with them.
Right.
And once we have some numbers and let them know that we're working on this, that they will understand that.
Right.
But this is something that we probably should have been aware of years ago, that we had to comply in a parking lot. It's,
But
There's
then
so
they relax
many,
the timeline.
so many ADA compliance issues that you can't understand.
Okay, Matt?
Until somebody complains, we really don't know.
Yeah.
All right, so it's staying on the town, is that what we voted on? It's going in the budget or?
It's in the budget.
It's in the budget. Yeah, we're in town meeting on that one. Okay.
What else you
Now-
got?
Okay, Ferry Road update, I briefly told you, I'm just gonna hand these out, you can go through them, we'll send them around. I'll keep
One tree down, I
The 3 trees down.
see.
One more to go though, because one got damaged by a UPS truck or a FedEx truck.
Looking really lovely. All character renewed.
The clerk of the works
Did you get one?
project is
No, you got a bunch. Okay.
So Tim did this before he left for Florida, but basically, he has some notes on the back. He
Are
eliminated,
tree feeding necessary? We have to hire somebody to come and feed the trees?
and so far we haven't, we did feed the trees last summer, and to get them ready, we boosted them so they'd be ready for this event,
Trauma.
for the trauma.
Trauma.
And now,
Of being chopped down.
so far, I haven't been able to find another tree company. The Bartlett Tree quote is quite high. It literally includes babysitting the trees during the construction phase. And I have not been able to find another tree company at the moment. I've sent it out to others to ask. To see who has a, it's called an air spade. And I've been trying to find another company that would bid on it for us while Tim was away. And so far I have come up with 0 that don't do this. So Bartlett has got the market at the moment. So they have their quote. We can sort of work with them maybe to come down a little. And the tree watering at $5.80. I don't know about you guys, but I'll get a 5-gallon jug from Stop and Shop and come over and start.
Well, What?
30 gallons.
Do they put that well around it, and then sometimes they put a well around the tree and fill it with water, and then it soaks in
Yeah,
over
tree, yeah.
like a week or a
These
month
are
or
all-
something.
But
Yeah, yeah.
seriously, what are they purporting to do? First, for a tree feeding at $2,000?
That's after,
They're feeding
that's
it by
after,
hand.
that's after the trees, the sidewalk goes in. That's the trees that have been upset with the air spade will be given.
Well, I understand the trees are unhappy, but what, I mean, seriously, what are they doing for $2,000? Now, if there's a lot of chemicals that are very expensive, if the tree food is very expensive, I could see that. But even paying somebody $100 an hour, it's a lot of hours to feed the trees.
I know. I agree. I totally agree. And even Tim agrees.
Put it on the ground.
That gets you to your shortfall. but-
It's the 18,000, so I'm like, holy crap.
Air,
So just so you know, all of the items under uses of funds under Kelowna from 2 through 8 are basically in there, but may or may not have to be used.
Mm-hmm.
So from the 1,000 to the 2,500. It depends on how much they have to do. They can't go over that, that's what they bid, but if they don't use the aggregate or some geotextile, they'll cut that out. The catch basins on the 20,000 were supposed to go on the Lieutenant River Road, and that is not going to be done because Ed says they're not necessarily needed. So that's coming out, should come out. Then we'll deal with Bartlett. We already had the 3 trees removed. Today, I got a notice from Tom Degnan, he's tagged the other one that was damaged by a delivery truck, and he said there's so much bark off of it, it's just gonna start to decay. There's no way to save it. So that should come down as well. So I'll have to call for a quote. We did save a lot of money on the tree removal, though, I will say.
That's actually a good price.
That's tremendous pressure for trees.
Yeah.
And then Jacobson went a little over in some of his, he had to do a lot of massaging of neighbors, and there were a lot of home visits, and to get paperwork signed so that they could be on their lawns and use their land while they're doing the construction. So they said that they would possibly give us a little bit of a rebate back, which I think is under that concession, 4,000. So we're hoping that we'll be under or at what the original, but just to keep you updated. And then here's the easy one. We had a request from the Old Line Band. The Old Line Band is, and the Board of Selectmen voted on this the other day. The Old Line Band is celebrating their 50th anniversary next year. And they have served this town for 50 years. And they are requesting $2,000 from the town, a one-time donation, so that they can, they're asking to buy some new music for the 50th celebration that they're planning. And also, they would like to, the project is more than this. It's, I think, about $5,000. They're asking $2,000 from us, and there'll be fundraising for the rest. But to have a composer design, write a piece specifically for the Old Line Band for them to play at their 50th anniversary. Something that the high school, I know, has done when they've traveled. Sometimes they do it between 2 schools, and then the 2 schools practice the piece and play it together. Then they both own that composed piece. So that's what they're asking, and the Board of Selectmen voted to approve the $2,000 donation, but is sending it to you for also approval.
And that's for this fiscal year.
Yes, it would be for now.
Any questions or discussions about that?
I'll make a motion for $2,000 to be donated to the Old Line Town Band.
A second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Any abstentions? That motion passes.
Okay. And then the only other thing, I think, police fund. As you know, there's a part-time fund for the police wages. And because they have not been able to really find anyone who would take part-time work, we've had a couple of people resign for the part-time because they've gone to full-time positions in other towns. Matt said he's wondering if he can transfer the part-time fund wages to the overtime account for the rest of the year, because he's basically paying more overtime than he is part-time wages, and he'd like to use it so that it's used correctly.
Does he want to transfer the entire fund, or do it piecemeal as needed, or did you discuss that
He's
one?
asked if he could transfer the fund. I don't know what the balance is at the moment. We can probably look to see where we are. Andy, do you have the last sheet?
I don't know if it's the last sheet or not. Do we have to do anything now, or can we wait till, I mean,
Next week?
or June?
For this fiscal year, I guess.
Right.
I don't think we need to.
Within the same department, but I think that's great that he came to you, because we've had an issue in the past with overtime being way out of whack.
We approved it at Board of Selectmen and said that it's fine.
Yeah, and
I think
think
it's
we
good
may-
information, but I don't, as long as he doesn't go over his total.
I'd love to give him an attaboy.
Yeah, he came to you, that's great.
But there is a statute that, I don't remember the wording specifically, but it may require the Board of Finance approval to transfer funds from one line item to another within a department. I think we should approve it. You've approved it, the Board of Selectmen?
That's fine.
I mean, I personally, we can do whatever, but I think we can wait till June if we want to
And
approve
see.
it and see how much,
Oh,
and
so
then
he
be more
doesn't need to do it
accurate.
right now? Or you should just do it
He's
now?
monitoring it, so that's why he...
Yeah, I mean, the money's gonna get spent, but in June, we'll have an accurate picture of.
So this is maybe a neater way to do it. Let him overspend the overtime budget and underspend the part-time budget.
Right.
And at the end of the fiscal year,
We can make an
authorize the
adjustment.
transfer.
Okay, I'll tell him that.
But it's great that we're aware, because in the past, I think we were $50,000 over budget in June.
For like 3 years.
That it?
Yeah, it's good.
That's it, I'll be quiet now.
And I have one thing with Martha. I'm going to call a special meeting of the Board of Finance for next Monday at 7 o'clock, following the Board of Selectmen meeting, and the Board of Selectmen who can will attend for the purposes of meeting with a fellow named Barry Bernabe. Anybody know Barry? He's been the consultant for the town on financing the senior center renovations, and has come up with some spreadsheet projections for a $3 million bond issue or a $4 million bond issue. He's going to discuss that with us, and I want to add to that discussion the prospective amortization of the Region 18 financing, and begin the discussion that we can have formally on Tuesday of how the hell do we want to do this, right? And the this is what's the amortization schedule for the Region 18 bonds that makes sense. Can you meet on Thursday at 10? Zoom?
Thursday.
You said Monday.
No, different question. Never mind. I'll talk to you in a minute. To begin the questions are, what kind of bond, term financing and amortization schedule makes sense for old
And
line?
how big is it compared to what we take
Right.
out of our kitty?
Exactly right.
Yeah.
And how do we want to mitigate the tax impact of everything going down our surplus? So I want to start that discussion on Monday informally, and then have it more formally on Tuesday. So I'll send out that notice, and anybody who can come, we're going to have a meeting whether or not even I have a quorum.
There's nothing to vote on, it's...
Right,
it's
just information.
That's great, thank you for that.
Okay, that's all I got.
Somewhat related, I know the Board of Education was going to consider for not keeping their 2% overages for this year. Was that brought up at a board meeting? I know one of the board members told me they're going to propose that.
Then that will probably be at the next meeting.
Okay. They're looking at potentially
That's what goes into their CapEx fund, which used to be 1%, and now it's 2%.
Right, now it's 2%,
Three
and
years
then-
ago, they changed that at the state.
They're talking about possibly voting on returning that 2% to the towns to help offset.
For a year or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think that'd be,
Yeah, I mean,
Something
to
that would be a
foreshadow
good
it,
thing.
and I hate to do this because it's just teasing you, but when you add the town share of the Region 18 budget coming down the next few years, you see a bump of $1 or $2 or $3 million, up to $3 million potentially in our aggregate budget needs. And, I mean, it's not insurmountable, but it certainly is going to require a mill rate increase to finance it, and we've got to figure out the most sensible, least painful way to do it.
just
Okay.
not to prolong the meeting, but we did talk about the police department overtime wages as of the end of February. The total budget for overtime was $84,000. They have $4,300 left as of now. Their part-time wages, the budget was basically $30,000, and there's $21,000 left there.
That makes
So,
sense.
well,
Maybe
But
we
they're
should.
on track to be
the
over.
fact that, you know,
Yeah.
why are we so far, I understand why we're over. Kudos to Matt for coming down, but this was off months ago. I mean, there was $7,000, $7,400 in February spent in overtime. So it's about $7,400 a month has been spent in overtime.
So this has been a perennial problem, more severe some years than others,
Yeah.
as to why are we incurring so much overtime expense?
Well, and it does have to do with
Staffing.
lack of staff, that we've been operating with 4 officers, constables. Are we now at 5, which should help.
Ryan is coming, graduates in April.
Yeah.
He will not be able to.
He can't go
by
on his own
himself.
until
90
summer.
days, I think.
Yeah, so, I mean, that's the reason. So I guess
And then we did it,
the good news is the area that perhaps we should be looking at pulling money from is full-time salaries, which the total budget was $478,000, and it looks like we're spending about $30,000 a month. So there should be money left there,
because
Which would make sense.
which makes sense.
Yeah.
It makes more sense to honestly look at, I mean, the total will probably be fine,
Right.
but
That's where it should come from.
there's
from
not
full-time
enough money in
salaries,
a part-time budget.
So
that's just his
So the
suggestion.
message
So
to Matt is,
it's really looking at line items. and-
Go ahead and.
go overtime to the minimum extent you have to. Be cautious about it, but go over budget, and we'll figure out at June 30 where to pull the money from.
Yeah. Look at the whole salaries, all of them.
But going back for a minute to the gazebo, and I don't want to delay this. No.
I was trying to stretch this meeting.
Pack it up.
My request, Martha, is that you drill down with Ed as to how dangerous, because we're not going to replace the existing gazebo until next year.
Right.
And Ed said it's dangerous.
Yeah.
So we have a responsibility to our citizens and to our liability insurance to minimize the possibility of somebody getting hurt. So
We'll
talk
go
to
down.
him about
We'll
how
a
to do
field-
that.
We'll do a field trip, and if anyone wants to come with us, we can also.
A lot of splinters, I know that.
But
As Don
Don't walk barefoot.
oh, it's the beach.
Don told me that it most likely is the hard compacted sand underneath that's
Yeah.
holding the whole thing together.
Let me know when you go, I'd like to join you.
Okay, let's go.
Motion to adjourn, somebody?
So moved.
Pat?
I'll second.
You're adjourned.